It's been said that apart from sleeping, the next biggest component in our lives is actually the time spent working or in our career. But we all know that at some point we've been through it. You know, we just feel that sometimes is there something we can do to change what we are doing? Can we tweak? Can we drastically jump into another situation? What can we do about the stuff that we're doing now? That's what we're going to talk about for today's session. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I just want to do a sound check. If everybody can hear me okay, if you can, please type into the chat box. Very good. Thank you, Gary. Good to see you. Okay, excellent. Very good. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today for what is practically a whole day session. Okay, so my name is Yuan. I'll be your facilitator for today's topic on redesigning your career. Now, I see some familiar names, but for those of you who are new to me, I'm a practicing career coach. I have my own business. I've been doing this for about 7.5 years now. As far as workshops for WSG is concerned, I've been doing this for almost 5 years already. Okay. Now, what you're going to go through today, this topic of redesigning your career, is essentially the same process that I go through with my own clients. Okay, most of my clients are, in fact, people who are looking at trying to change whatever things they are going to do. Okay. All right. Let me just mute someone first. Okay. And very importantly, they come to me asking, what do I do? What are my options? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Right. Apart from doing workshops like this, I'm actually also a trainer. I certify other people to become career coaches as well. So I do this through the WSG certification programs. I also do this through a globally recognized certification program for career coaches through the National Career Development Association based in the US. Okay, I'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end. Okay, so that's a little bit about myself. Right now, there are about 30 people here. I've been told that over almost 60 people have registered for today's session. Okay, given that this is a whole day session, there's usually a limit to the number of people so that we can engage each other better. So hopefully through the day, you will get a chance to know me, I get a chance to know you, and hopefully you also get a chance to know each other as well. All right, so that's our aim for today. Now, before we start, I just want to try and get to know some rough background of yours. So I'm going to shoot up a poll, which would basically tell me what is your current status right now, and also your age group. Okay, so let me just launch the poll, and hopefully you can help me fill this up. Okay, it may take a couple of minutes, so I'll just wait for you all to do so. Okay. Let me just see if I can put it here. Hopefully you all can see this. Maybe it's a bit small. I'm going to flash up the results later anyway. Okay, so about more than half have done it already, 63%. Let me see. Okay, currently now, most of you are unemployed. Most are over 40 currently. All right, so we have 60 plus, almost 70% filled up. I'll just give it another 30 seconds or so for all of you to come in to me. Respond. Okay. All right. So it looks like those who wanted to respond has responded. So let me just end the poll and share the results. So hopefully you can see that. So majority of you are currently unemployed. Okay. And the majority are also above 40. All right. With about 14% of you above 55. Okay. Good. So that gives me a context of where you are. Okay, good. So, first question I want to ask you is this. Why are you here today? Why are you here today? Can you type into the chat box what is prompting you to relook at your own career? Can you type into the chat box for me so that I can understand a little bit about your motivation for coming today? Okay, I got a comment from Ting Ting asking about, coming back to the workforce and workshops, how to be self-employed for people above 40s. Okay, so I'll try to address that Ting Ting, although that's not the main gist of today's workshop, but let me try and address that. Okay. WGL says returning to first love. Very nice. Anybody else? Okay, you got a niche, but you want to get a job first. Okay, so that means you are looking for something else. So you want to pivot to another industry, no progress, looking for better career prospects. Okay, KPN, thank you so much. Okay, all right. So for those of you who have shared, thank you very much for sharing. Okay. Now, there's also something else. I think, a lot of you have probably heard a lot of stats about the way people feel about their work. So let me share some of this for you. Okay. This was done in 2019, right? But I believe it is still very relevant, if not more so. Here it said that the Better Life Index claims that Singaporeans' journey towards a better life also found that 4 in 10 Singaporeans were not happy with their lives right now. 5 in 10 feel dissatisfied with their progress towards their short and long term goals. Okay. Now, a more recent study by Gartner in January of 2022, right, basically said that while the pandemic revealed a lot of information, a lot of dissatisfaction amongst the workforce, you can see the stats there, attitudinal changes, rethinking. This has prompted a lot of people to quit their jobs, right, or resign, right? What they said about the great resignation. Yeah. But what it also has happened, I don't know whether you've heard about this particular notion of quiet quitting. Okay, recently in the last few months, it's been a lot of talk about this notion of quiet quitting. So for those of you who are currently employed, if you're unhappy, you're just basically going through the motions, right? You're not doing anything extra. Your level of commitment is not as high as before. That's what they mean by quiet quitting. Okay, and you're on the lookout for something better. Okay? Now, why is this so? Why is this so? We may ask. Now, this study has shown or reveals that really people, when they work, they don't want to separate their work, what their work values and attitudes from their personal. They want to combine it together. So employees bring their whole selves to work. Now, what happens before their work hours may be just as important as what happens during their work hours. So, in other words, you cannot really separate your identity work from after work or outside of work. Yeah. So sometimes, then when we reach this stage, there's some really important questions we ask ourselves in our career, right? I saw some comments here that already said, we want to future proof our careers. Okay. How do I get promoted? So, first thing that when I get a client coming to me, the first thing I ask them is this: what is the issue? What are you trying to resolve? Okay. And really, a lot of the times the responses they come back to me fall into a few particular categories. Let me share this with you. How do I get promoted? How do I get into a new role or a new industry? Okay, some of you have mentioned that already. How do I move out of this industry, or should I move out of this industry or this role? What do I need to do? Do I need to change my management style? Do I need to add new skills? Or do I need to be better at my current skill sets? Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now let's talk about the definition of redesign first. Okay, just to make sure that everybody is level set on this. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Redesign, as this definition shows, is to revise. Okay, revise in what? It could be in appearance, it could be in function, it could be in content. All right. So this definition alone tells you that redesigning your career is not just about making a career switch. I just want to be clear about this. So this, although I do workshops on making career switches, and that is actually one of my specialties, today's workshop is not just about making career switches, although that's what I'll touch upon as well. It's a little bit more holistic. Okay, we're looking at what you can do currently in a situation. What are all the options you have? Okay, so not it's not just about making a career switch. You may eventually get there, but that's not the only topic we're going to talk about. All right, so today's session, I'm going to target at essentially these groups of people. Those of you who are employed but looking for a change. Okay, those of you who are unemployed, okay, which seems like the majority of you. Those of you who are new to the workforce, I see some younger people in the group, so maybe that's what you are. And those of you who have been absent from the workforce and are now thinking of coming back to the workforce. Okay? So at the end of today, okay, it's about 6 hours, right? Hopefully, the learning outcomes I want you to get out of today is essentially these three items. Identify or really know what your professional identity is. Okay, this is the identity you bring to your workplace. Okay, now I'll explain a little bit later on why this is important. Remember, we said about how many of us now feel that we cannot separate our professional identity from our personal identity. Okay, so the closer we are between the two, the better. Then we'll spend a little bit more time in the last two portions, redesigning process. Okay, how do we go about looking at what can we do to redesign our work, our career, our prospects? Okay, and once we have decided on that, then we talk about how do we then convince other people that this is the thing that we want to do, right? Convince future employers that you are the right person to go into the area or to tweak your current job scope. Are we okay with this? All right. So that is the learning outcome we have for today. Now, some of you have written to me previously or earlier asking questions, asking me to answer particular questions relating to this workshop. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do as well. I'm going to incorporate your questions, those that you have emailed to me earlier on, into the body of this workshop. All right, but don't worry if my questions, you have new questions, or maybe I missed out your question. Feel free to ask me again through the day. Okay, but one thing I want to be sure that we all understand this. Okay, if you look at this, the way people think traditionally about our career path in the old days was very linear, right or not? Graduate from school, right? Then it's all progressive, really clean, and then you move through the hierarchy, the ranks very smoothly. Okay? If you look at it in today's world, this is actually quite a dysfunctional belief. The belief that you need to figure out your best possible life, you make a plan and you execute it. This no longer applies in today's world. Right? So this is one thing I need you to understand first. Because really your career can also look like this. Right? It can be moving parallel, it can move backwards a bit, it can move forward a bit. Okay? So we have to, hopefully by the end of today, you will see, this reframe that you need to have if you don't have it already, that you actually have multiple lives within yourselves and you really get to choose which one you want to build. Okay, so the term that I always like to use for my clients as well as for my coaching students, really it is a lifetime of careers. All right, it is not one career for a lifetime. Okay, so that is the important thing that I want you all to understand. All right, okay, okay. So this is the structure for today. So I'm going to talk about this morning, all right, what your professional identity is. Okay. Then the better part of this afternoon, maybe later part of this morning, I'll talk about the redesign process and the outreach process. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping here. Given that we have just under 40 people here, okay, I want to try and make it as interactive as possible. I think, but the main thing here is this. I'm going to ask you all to do a lot of reflective exercises. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of tables, a lot of how should I put it, things for you to fill up. So what I suggest you do, if you don't already have it right now in front of you, is get a piece of paper, a notepad or whatever. Okay, or or maybe you want to do it on your computer screen. I leave it up to you. Okay, have that ready, because every time you see that particular thing there, it means that I want to get you to do some exercises. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, I mean, right now as I'm talking, you all are muted. Thank you so much. If you've got any questions, feel free to unmute yourself, but and ask the questions. All right. Now, if those of you who are the more shy among you, if you got questions as well, you want to type into the chat box, by all means, you can do so. All right. But just to help me scan when I'm scanning through the messages, put a capital letter Q in front so that I know it's a question. And then I'll address these questions towards the end of each section. Okay. Breaks. Everybody loves breaks. Given that today is a big day ahead, okay, so I'm trying to give you as many breaks as possible. Maybe every hour I'll give you maybe a stretch break, all right, or maybe when we are doing the exercises, I will count that as one of the breaks. But at the very least, the three major breaks I'm going to give you here is one at 10:45, okay, lunch break around 12 o'clock, maybe slightly earlier. We'll see how it goes. All right. And then in the afternoon, maybe another 3 o'clock, a major break before we end for today. But I'll take a look. Maybe sometimes if I see the blood sugar going low, I will notice. I can tell. No, even though you all don't have your camera on, I can tell whether your blood sugar is low. So I'll give a 5-minute break or so. All right. Okay. Is that okay for everyone? Is this process okay? If it's okay, can you type into the chat box that it's okay for you? Or if you have any other way of doing things, please do let me know. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Okay. Now, what I traditionally do as well towards the end is that apart from the summary, which you will see there, okay, of what we're going to cover today, I'll also talk a little bit about that bonus section, is really how we can continue the conversation after today. Right, for those of you who have been to my past workshops before, you will know this. But those of you who are new to me, I just want to emphasize how, if you feel that the way I explain, the way I do things, and you feel you want to continue the conversation, these are the ways that we can do so, and I explain that later on. All right. Okay. Good. If there's no other comments or questions, let me start. All right, let me start for today. And I'm going to talk about the professional identity. Okay, this wasn't supposed to happen. This was a definition that I wanted you to find out for me. But essentially, this is it. Okay, what is a professional identity? Professional identity is a set of beliefs, attitudes, and understandings about one's professional role as a result of his or her work activity. So note that I said the phrase work activity. Okay, so it is about what do you bring to the table in your job, in your career. Now, why is this important? You need to know what your professional identity is, because at the end of the day, that is what you're going to communicate with everybody else, your colleagues, your friends, and even your prospective employers. If you don't know what this is, how can you then communicate effectively to other people to say you are good at this, you are an expert in this, you can do this job and all? Okay, so this is an important factor. All right. Now, part of this exercise here, okay, is really try to identify firstly what motivates you. What motivates you? Okay, so this is the first exercise, right? That I hope that you all can do. Okay, so let me explain what this process is. Essentially, it is a little paper and pencil sort of activity for you. Okay, this exercise is called a meaningful experience exercise. So if you look at this, let's say you have a column, you have a piece of paper, you draw up 4 columns. Okay, if you can, maybe what you can do so now, whether it's on a piece of paper or whether it's in your computer. Okay, because I'm going to give you time to do this. So the first column you see here, all right, here is what your job is. Okay, whether it is full-time, part-time, or whatever. Okay, what your job is. All right, sorry, let me just go back there. Then you describe what are the activities related to the job that you are doing. What are the activities that's related to the job you're doing? Then you go on to describe what you like most about the job, what you dislike most about the job. Okay. Now, for those of you who are currently not working or not employed, you can actually go and do, fill up what you have done previously or what was the most recent ones. Okay. So 4 columns, right? Your past or current job, whether it's full-time, part-time, or voluntary. All right, I leave it up to you. What are the activities, what you like most about a job, what you dislike most about the job. Okay. Now the trick here is this. When you're doing this, what I need you to do, right, is to do at least 3 past or current job activities. 3. Now, the reason for this is very simple. Okay. Because if you do anything less than 3, right, it's very difficult for you to spot patterns. Because this is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to spot patterns or themes of what you like and disliked in your past or your current job. Because then this gives you an idea of what motivates you at the end of the day. Are we okay with this? Okay. So what I like to do now, I mean, we had the whole day here, but I want you to go through this particular exercise first to get you to understand what your motivation is. Okay. So give it a try. I will give you maybe about how should I say it? Maybe 5 minutes. Is that okay? Let's try this. Give you 5 minutes. Then you give it a try and see to what extent can you do this. You do at least one to give it a try, and then later on at the home, maybe outside of these hours, you can do more. The more, the better, because at the end of the day, it's about spotting patterns or themes that gives you an idea of what motivates you or what demotivates you. All right? Okay? So I see you guys back here in about 5 minutes. Okay? I'll see you soon.
5 minutes later.
Okay, I have a question here. It says, how do I spot patterns? Okay, so hopefully, once you all get the chance to do this, you are able to see the patterns that evolve. All right. So, like what someone here mentioned, you seem to be more self-driven, so more self-motivated to be self-employed trader in stock market. That's great if you see that. So that is your motivation, right? So hopefully you also get a chance to see your own motivation for the rest of you. Okay. Now, the reason why I wanted you to do this is very simple. Now, some of you may be saying, oh, I'll just do this some other time as well. That's fine. I leave it up to you. But how much you put your effort into today's workshop is what you're going to get out of this. Okay. And since you're spending a lot of time here with us, so why not just put it in? Yeah. Okay. Another one said that what you dislike is management related. Yeah. I mean, maybe a bit more specific, all right? If you dislike something about management, what is it about management that you dislike? Be more specific, okay? What I'm going to do is this, all right? Most of the time, when I do this exercise with groups of people, some people tend to have difficulty in spotting the patterns because maybe you're too close to each other, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break you up into small groups of about 4 to 5 people, okay? So this is a chance for you to get to know each other. When I break you out into the groups, why don't you just share, okay? What do you think your themes are, your common patterns are? And then share with the other people and see whether the other people also sees this pattern in front of you. Those of you who knows what it is, very good. Share what you think it is. Those of you who are not so sure, okay, then maybe you just talk about what those things that you dislike and dislike about your past and current job, and then let other people try and help you with this. Okay, so the other people become the coaches, you become their client. So give it a try. Okay,
A few moments later.
so let's see if everybody is back. So I think there are still some giving a chat in the chat group. Okay, all right, good. Right, I see everybody is back. Okay, so I hope you all got something out of that little session itself where you were talking to each other, you were verbalizing what motivated you. Hopefully you get a chance to identify that as well, or maybe even helping the other members in your group to do so. Okay. Now I noticed probably some groups didn't really have a lot of activity. I leave it up to you because we are all adults here. You put in what you get out. You get out what you put in inside. All right. So any questions do you have regarding the process of trying to identify what is your motivation through this exercise? Anybody got any questions? Feel free to ask. Anybody? Okay, good. So no questions. Then let me move on to the next step. So just a reminder here. Okay, so this is the first step to try and identify what your professional identity is. And the first thing about your professional identity is really to understand what motivates you, what you like about your past or your current job versus what you dislike. Okay, there was an interesting discussion with one of your colleagues here regards to how did she identify. So my point here is this, right? Sometimes maybe it's about the hanging on to the emotions that you get out of your job itself. Maybe it's not just the activities, but the emotions itself. Okay, then you understand how did I arrive at those emotions? Is it a sense of satisfaction because I I was able to predict, I was able to control an outcome? If that's the case, right? If that is the positive, that is the reason for your positive emotion, then remember that. Then the trick here is, can you replicate this emotion in your next job or your next career or your new job or a new career? Okay, so that's something you have to ask yourself. If money is your motivation, by all means, that's fine. Okay, a lot of us are motivated by money. Okay, so the thing here is really to try and understand what your motivation is. Okay. All right. So, there was a comment. Levis can't get into the breakout room because screen sharing goes blank. Please readmission. Okay, Levis, the breakout session is over already. Okay. So sorry you couldn't get in there, but hopefully maybe in the next activity you can do so. All right. So let's try this. Okay. Let's move on to the next portion. So we have this portion about what motivates you. So let's go on to the other parts here about definitions. Okay, so I'm going to talk over the next few minutes about what these definitions are. What is work? What is value? And what is success? Okay, here really is talking about what does work mean to you? What does work mean to you? Okay, and then how do you calculate the value of the work that you do? Right, and what are the signs of your own career success? How do you determine this? Okay, now what I'm going to share with you over the next few slides may be a bit unconventional, but bear with me because I feel that it is a very worthwhile train of thought so that it allows you to really then go into the reasons about how you value yourself, how other people see you. Okay, so let's start with the first one here. What does work mean to you? What does work mean to you? Can you type into your chat box? Okay, what do you think work means to you? Can you type into the chat box? What is your definition of work? Could be something as simple as, work is a means of living. Work is a way of earning money. Is there anything else? What else does work mean to you? Type into the chat box if you can. Okay. All right. So Ting Ting says work earns income. Darren says work is solving a problem. Okay. Any other definitions of work can you think of? expressing creativity. Very good. Good. Challenging with earning. Wow, I like that phrase, Heather. Challenging with earning. All right. Any other thoughts? You think about it when you're in doing work. Oh, having fun. I like that, Gary. Having fun. Obviously, we must have fun, right? Okay. If you think about it, when you are working, when you're doing a job in your career, all right, what exactly are you trying to achieve? Okay, so Jacqueline says selling your services to a company and in turn being paid. Okay, let me give you a definition out there. You think about this because it relates to the further other points I'm going to mention. Okay, this one, service to others is the rent you pay your room here on earth. This phrase was spoken by Muhammad Ali, the boxer, the late Muhammad Ali. Okay, so what does this mean? Service to others is the rent you pay your room here on earth. If you expand on this notion and relate it to work, really then you're talking about work is what? Helping other people. Now, why do we say this? Why do we say this? Work is about helping other people. Why do we say this? If you think about it, once you help other people, right, it means you have value. And once you have value, other people are willing to pay you to help. You get that meaning? You get that? You get the linkage here now? Okay? So think about it again. You are helping other people. So other people see that you are giving them value. So they are willing to pay you for that. Okay? So hold that thought. Work is helping other people so that it leads to a value. So next thing here is this. How then do I calculate the value of my work? Wow. I mean, this could be related to salary negotiation, but I'm not going to go there for the time being. Okay, but I want to talk about concepts now. How do you then calculate the value of your work? So if you think about it, the things that you do in your work right now, does value mean activity? Is activity equal to value? That means the things that you're doing, those activities that you're doing, is it the value that you are creating? Is that the real value? Think about this. So I'm going to maybe bring up four professions. Hopefully, some of you are within these professions itself. Okay, some of you are within these professions. Okay, so those of you, for example, who are in accounting, okay, what do accountants do? Can you type into the chat box? Those of you who are in an accounting or accountant, what do accountants do? Can you type into the chat box? If you are an accountant, by all means, better still, type into the chat box. What do accountants do? Any accountants there? What do you do? What does an accountant do? Okay, somebody says accurate reporting. Any other things that accountants do? Any other things that accountants? Is it only accurate reporting? Anything else? Company's performance, financial reporting. Yeah, could be. All right, so those are activities, right? But if you think about it, at the end of the day, someone who performs accounting, all right, they one of the things that reveals a lot when they look at the numbers is probably something about costs, all right? So in a way, accountants can also help control costs, right? Because they review the cost structure of a company. That could be one of the things that happens. Okay. Marketing. For those who are marketeers, what does marketing achieve or what do marketeers do? Anyone? What does marketing people do? What do marketing people do? What do you achieve? Anybody? No marketing people around? Increase brand awareness and sales, drive sales, right? Pitch values to a target audience. Yeah, you're right. Okay. But in order for a marketing person to achieve all this, right, he has to create something. He has to create something to meet the needs of the people. Therefore, they go and buy from you. Okay, it could be increased perceived value of a product. So but you want to do something to meet the needs of people, right? If people don't have those needs, no matter how much you market to that, then there's nothing to sell. Okay, so think about this. Sales, all the salespeople here, what do salespeople do? What do salespeople do? Increase awareness of company products and broader market share, could be. What else? What do salespeople do? Those who of you who have been in sales, what do you do? What do you do? Bring money to the company? Yep, absolutely. All right. Actually, it's pretty straightforward, right? You deliver revenue. You deliver revenue. Okay. Now, last one, administration. Those of you who have been doing administrative job, what exactly do you do? What exactly do you do? If you're running, you ensure daily things are in order, keep things in order. Yeah, exactly. So you make your operations more efficient, right? So if you think about this, actually, are these activities or are these benefits? Sorry, let me just go back. Okay, are these activities or are these benefits? Right? Can we then say that actually value is derived from the benefits you bring to the table in the jobs that you do? Can we say that? All right. So value is really a reflection of the benefits you bring to the table. So in other words, then you really have to ask, who do you help? What needs do you fulfill? And how do you do it? Think about this. Okay, if we see that value is really determined by the benefits you bring to the other party, that's why they are willing to pay you for it, because you give them benefits, you bring benefits to them. Then you have to ask yourself this, then who are the people you help, or what are organizations you help? Okay, what needs do you help fulfill for them? Okay, and how do you help them? All right, so bear this in mind. So next, success. What are the signs of career success? So if I relate to the first two definitions that we had, right? Can we say that success is really how good you are at helping people, at solving problems, and the way you do things? Can we say that? Right? Think about this. So if we then combine everything together, right? We combine everything together. So work is what? Work is about helping others achieve their needs. It is not about tasks and activities. Okay? And because you are helping other people, okay, you give them benefit. Once people realize the benefit you give to them, they are willing to reward you. Okay? And how successful you are, right, is really determined by how good you are at helping other people. Now, some of you may think that, wow, this is a really way out definition. But if you look at it deeply, right, it does make a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense, right? So, in other words, really at the end of the day, it's really about how you help other people at the end of the day and how good you are at it. Okay? So, the flow of thought here now is this. Okay? So, our professional identity, the identity we bring to work, to our career, it's really these three elements here. All right. It's about helping other people. It's about knowing what is the value, what is the benefit we give to other people. All right. And then how good at it we are at doing this. Okay. And the process of putting all this together is really all about our skills, our experience, uh, all those things that you see in this box here. Okay. So whatever skills and experiences we have, right, it is only useful if you use those things to do all these things you see up there. If you are very good at accounting, for example, if you are a very good accountant, you are a very good marketing person, it's not going to be any useful if you don't apply that expertise into a situation to helping the other party. Okay? Because if you don't help them achieve their aims, their objectives, they're not willing to pay you. If you don't keep yourself updated, if you don't keep doing and improving the things that you do to help other people, you will not have longevity in your career. Are we okay with this train of thought? Any questions about this so far? Anybody got any questions? By all means, feel free to ask. Anyone? Okay. I had a DM here that says, "What about passion?" What about passion? Okay, very good. I'm just coming up to this. All right. How many of you can identify what your passion is? Let me ask you, okay? If I ask you, no, what is your passion? What is your passion? Do you know what it is? Can you type into the chat box? If you do know, please do so. Don't be shy about this. What is your passion? Anyone? If you have a passion, type it into the chat box. If you have difficulty answering this, if you have difficulty answering this, don't worry, no, you're not alone. You're not alone. Okay? Because 9 out of 10 of my clients, when I ask them this question, they actually have a lot of difficulty trying to enunciate what their passion is. Okay, there was a real quick question here from someone. They asked what about the slides. Okay, now towards the end of today's session, I'm going to give you an idea of how you can get hold of the slides or the video itself. Okay, because I'm videoing this right now. Okay, so hopefully you do this. Yeah. Okay, Heather says, you love the job and work so much you are not tired after the job. Okay, that's great. That's related to the job, but can you identify what the passion is? Yeah. It's interesting here. Someone mentioned if passion and reality of work is so different. Like, for example, you love singing or art, but reality, you choose something else. So it comes right back to this. Then, really, are we saying that, is passion enough for us to find the right career or job? Some of the comments here I see, right, suggest that maybe passion is not enough. Maybe sometimes you feel that your passion is not related to your job. Now, let's think about this. In order to know your passion, those of you who are lucky enough to be able to identify your passion, okay, is based on a few assumptions here. It's based on a few assumptions. What are the assumptions? We already have an existing passion, and this can be very easily identified. That is the basic assumption, right? But how do we get all this? It comes from what? It comes from experience, it comes from activity, things that we do. And sometimes you would say that you need time to develop, correct? Right? Then some of you may have already guessed. Sometimes having a passion may not be practical, especially in Singapore terms, right? You think, alamak, what's about passion? I need to earn a living. Passion is passion. So what? It might be separate from my work, but I just need to earn the mullah and bring it to the table, bring food to the table. Totally different, right? Not very practical. So you talk rubbish lah. But honestly, there are some people who can identify. Now, then how do I help my clients who find difficulty in this? I'm not going to berate you and say, why are you so silly? Why are you so silly and don't know what you're passionate about? No. All right. What I'm going to do is suggest another way. I'm going to suggest another way. So instead of passion, can we maybe look at purpose? What is your purpose? Now, bear with me. Okay, I'm going to explain to you how you find your purpose over the next few slides. But in many cases, and my experience with my clients have found that it's actually a lot easier to identify your purpose instead of your passion. And sometimes when you talk about your purpose, you eventually may reveal your passion if you have difficulty finding your passion. Okay? So what do we mean by this? In fact, why is purpose so important? Now, coming back to this Gartner's survey done in January, okay, it basically says that we seek personal value and purpose at work, right? Because we want our work to have some meaning, right? So that is very important to the people. Okay, I'm going to show you a short video here. All right, this video is actually an interview with Tim Cook. Right? Tim Cook is the CEO of Apple. All right, so he's been interviewed from his alma mater, and he's talking about his own direction or purpose. Okay, you take a look at it, right? If you want to, what you see in the video, if you feel there are certain key points, type into the chat box. By the way, when you leave the session to the end of today, you are able to save the chat inside the whatever you type in the chat box. Okay, so whatever comments you have, you can put it in there. You can save it for later on. Okay, so take a look at this short video. If you have any comments about the video or what are the key points that you have learned, type it into the chat box. Okay, I see you in a while. Okay, just give me a minute.
What's interesting is that it is now 25 years since you got your MBA, and as part of your MBA experience, you were asked to write a 25-year plan.
I was.
How did that work out for you?
There was a professor, I think his name was Dr. Naylor. Does that sound right?
Tom Naylor.
Yeah, Tom Naylor. And he was a great professor, and one of the things that he asked us to do was to write a 25-year plan. Maybe some of you have had to do this. And it was more of a personal plan. Normally I would never remember this, but I was doing a commencement address a few years ago, and I was scrambling for some old things, and I found in a box this plan. And this plan had turned yellow because of age, but I looked at it, and I would say it was reasonably accurate for all of 18 to 24 months after it was written. And it was nothing, there was nothing, not a single thing on it that was accurate post that. Not a single thing. Zero. And I think that the lesson there is, at least for me, maybe you guys will be different, maybe you have much more insight into what you may be doing, but for me, the journey was not predictable at all. And it goes sort of back to the Lincoln quote, is the only thing I believe you can do is prepare. And the world is going to change many times. The environment's going to change many times. The companies you work for are going to ebb and flow. You may wind up in the same company, you may not. You may wind up in the same career, you may not. You may wind up with the spouse you're married to now, you may not. There are lots of things in your life. I hope that one doesn't change. But there's lots of things that change, and I think that you sort of have to have a North Star and stay with the North Star and let those things go on about you and sort of find your journey.
So it is about your North Star. It's about creating a sense of purpose. Okay? And why is a sense of purpose so important? Because we come back to this again. All right? It is about how good you are at doing the things to help other people. All right? Okay, it is now 10:38, right? A little bit overdue, but let's take a 10-minute break before we come back, and then we talk about how we identify this sense of purpose. Okay, how do we create this sense of purpose in yourselves? Okay, I see you guys in 10 minutes. Hello, welcome back. Hopefully, all of you have got a nice stretch. Okay, all right. It's interesting. I get a lot of direct messages telling me about their purpose. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, for those of you who are still wanting to know how to identify your purpose and craft your own purpose statements, that's what we're going to talk about over the next few minutes. Okay, so in other words, really trying to identify, who are the people you help, what problems you solve, and how you solve them. Okay, right. First things first, I want to explain another concept with you. Okay, I don't know if you've heard about this concept, the T-shaped person. Okay, someone who's good in many different things, but especially strong in a particular area. That's the definition of T-shape. So what do we mean by this? How does this apply to a job or a career? So let me just flash out an example here. So let's say in the life of a graphic designer, these are the things that he does. Okay, so he does illustrations, he does photo editing, animation, visual storytelling. Okay, so that's his core competency. But at the same time, a graphic designer could also be good or very interested in other areas, right? And these areas can sometimes be related or can be totally different, right? So it could be things like digital marketing, he could be, uh, content production, he could be interested in web design, he could be very good at photography. So imagine now, if you had a person like this, who's good in his core competencies, but who's also reasonably good across many different areas. What does this mean to the company itself? What does this mean to the organization? What do you guys think? If you had somebody like this in the team, what does it mean to your team? Generally speaking, it is very positive reaction right now. Yeah? Somebody says this can be interpreted to, yeah, could be, could be. But I think the key thing here is this, right? You can say that that person, in his main responsibilities, is very good. The technique says talented, very easy to collaborate across disciplines. You're right. He's very good at supporting other people, and he's very flexible in doing new tasks. Okay, and what does it mean to the company? It means to the company he is able to support the company in a very big or wider sense. Now, then the question you ask yourself is this: do you want to be that type of person? Or would you rather just specialize in your area and forget about everything else? I think that you know the answer, huh? So then the questions, then probably if you want to be like this T-shaped person, what are the questions you need to ask yourself? Okay? What do you do well? First thing you ask yourself is this: what do you do well? Okay? Sometimes this one is quite easy to answer, right? Because you know yourself well. The next couple of questions may be slightly more tricky. What skills do I enjoy using? Do I need more training in those skills? Think about this. Okay. Question: what do I do well? What skills do I enjoy using? I think the key word here is enjoy. Okay. Do I need more training in this area? Okay. Now comes to our next little exercise. Next little exercise. Okay. Again, if you have a piece of paper at hand, or maybe you have a spreadsheet, I'd like you to draw up 4 boxes here. All right, you see the 4 boxes here. All right, on the top part here, the blue is about competency. I'm not good at this, I am good at this. Okay, the vertical column is about preference. I like to do this, I don't like to do this. Okay, So 4 boxes here. So this is a way to help you answer those questions that I just listed down. So let's talk about each box in turn. And as I'm talking, maybe you can also write down what do you think you have in those particular boxes. Okay? All right. First box, the purple box. I'm good at this and I like to do this, which is here. Okay? So what is in the purple box for you? Okay? These set of skills that you are good at and these set of skills that you like to use means that you are really motivated to use this whenever you can. Correct? Not? Okay? And you really enjoy using this. So why don't you write it down now? What are your motivated skills? What are the skills you are good at? What are the skills you like to use? If you want to share with the chat box, by all means do so. Right? But I think at the very minimum, I would like you to key this in somewhere so that it captures your own thoughts. What you are good at, what do you like to do? Okay? All right. I think this one is quite easy, right? You know, everybody should know, yeah, I'm good at this, I really like to do this, bang, 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 bang. I'm sure you have a lot of lists out there. Okay. So the next one is this. The red box. Danger sign, red box, right? But I'm good at this, but I don't like to do this. Wow. We classify this as burnout skills, right? When you use those skills, you get really frustrated, and then you say, I don't want to do, but I still have to do it. So it burns you up. What are those skills? For me personally, I think those of you who've been to my past workshops will know this. For me personally, right, when I was managing a large P&L, managing different teams and all that, people tell me I was very good at achieving numbers, chasing numbers. But that honestly was my burnout skills because I didn't like to do that. I didn't like to do that. So that was my burnout skills. So what is your burnout skills? What is your burnout skills? Okay? Are we okay with this? Maybe this one's a little bit more awkward for you to fill up, but I think it's important for you to know. Okay? Because sometimes many of us think that we probably naturally will like something because we are good at it. That may not be the case, huh? That may not be the case. Okay. So we filled up motivated skills, we filled up burnout skills. Let's talk about the orange box. I'm not good at this, right? But I like to do this. Now this becomes a little bit more interesting already because we are talking about skills you want to develop better, develop more. Okay, so comes to one question that someone asked just now, or one of the questions that you should be asking. Do I need more training in this set of skills? I mean, these are skills that I really like to learn more. Do I need more training in this? Okay, think about this. For me personally, all right, when I started on this journey of doing online workshops like this, I was thinking, how can I change the way I do things? How can I change the way I present and share things with you on screen right now? And what you see here was something I had to learn. I was really interested in this, right? How to present in a very different way so that I can gauge you more, so you can see me better instead of that small little box you see at the top right hand corner, right? So I was really interested in this, but I had to learn new skills. I had to learn how to do this. Okay, so it took me a few months, to be frank. I had to change my hardware. I had to learn. I watch YouTube a lot. Those of you who know, self-help YouTube. All right. I learn from other disciplines. I see what other YouTubers were doing. I see gamers what they were doing, and I learn from there. Okay, so I was really interested in this, but I wasn't good at this, so I learned. So that was my developmental skills, right? So maybe this is something you need to think further. Yeah, gaming chair also. So this is actually my son's chair, no, it's not my chair. Okay, so think about this. What are the skills you really enjoy doing, but you are not so good at it, but you want to get more training? Okay, this may be something you need to think about further. Okay, the last box, the one at the corner, bottom left corner. You are not good at this, and you don't like to do this. Some people will say, not relevant. Well, if I don't like to do this and I'm not good at this, then therefore I'm not going to use it. Correct. So therefore it's irrelevant to me. It could be, it could not be. Or you might be asked to use skills that are falling in this area. So I think it's also good for you to know what your irrelevant skills are. Okay? So put it down. What are your irrelevant skills? Skills that you are not good at this and you don't like to do it. But maybe in your current situation, you are forced to use it. Okay? All right. So we have 4 boxes here. So what does it mean to us? So hopefully, you get a lot of things going on this. Someone asked me, what is the actionable item for the irrelevant quadrant? Let me come to you on this. Okay? Now, you may be asking yourself, if I were to choose my next job or my next career, all right, can I choose a job that allows me to only use skills in the motivated corner? If there are jobs that makes me use skills in the other boxes, maybe that's not the job for me. I cannot answer that for you. Okay? It is up for you to answer this. But one thing I must share with you, those of you who have worked for a long time, this is something you wouldn't realize. Every job, in any job you do, it is almost impossible for you to 100% have things that you enjoy doing all the time. There will be sometimes you need to do things that you don't like to do, like maybe it's in the burnout skills, or maybe there are some things that you are being asked to do which you're not good at and you don't like to do. Okay, there could be, but does it mean that you don't go into those jobs or that type of career? This is something you have to ask yourself. Now, when I embarked on my journey as a career coach, as a practicing private career coach, I had a lot of motivated skills involved. I enjoyed working with people, I enjoyed sharing my knowledge, I enjoyed doing workshops and all. Okay. What I didn't like to do was actually to go out and get new business. Okay. Something that I was relatively good at, but I felt distracted from what I wanted to do, but it's something I had to do. But luckily, the opportunities to use my motivator skills far outweighed the other boxes. Now, somebody asked me, what about then? Do I have any things in the irrelevant box? What can I do about it? In other words, I'm not good at this and I don't like to do it. Yeah, I did have. Okay, I didn't like to do all the mundane admin stuff like invoicing lah, chasing payment lah, that sort of thing. Right? You all know this, right? I didn't like to do it, and I wasn't good at this. Okay, but I had to do it. Now, how did I get around this? The first thing here is this. I knew what these things I didn't like to do. I wasn't good at this. Do I continue doing it myself or do I what? Sub out to a third party to do? What are my alternatives? So for me personally, in my case, all right, I got somebody else to help me in this particular area. I got a team involved. Okay, for your case it might be different. So here it is maybe not so much about what actions you can do, but really part of it is the recognition that you have items in this box right? Once you recognize those items in each of the box, then you think about, is there a way to get around it? Is there a way to improve on it? Is there a way to leverage more on this? Okay, so that is the purpose of doing these four boxes. Okay, so to me, this is a very important set of information about yourself. Okay, so you know what you are good at, what you like to do, versus what you are good at, what you don't like to do. Yeah, so this goes a long way to helping you identify your purpose and your passion. Okay, so let me continue with this because there is there's a end goal in mind when we do this. Okay, any questions about this before I go on to the next one? Any questions about this? Okay, good. All right, so the next one here is this. All right, so now you have the skills that you like to use, the skills you don't like to use. You have a sense of what type of experiences you have and all. So now it's all putting it all together. Okay, putting it all together and try to communicate how you help people. And how you help people is really try to identify what problems you solve. What problems you solve. Okay, so the next few examples I'm going to share with you are essentially examples from my own clients. Okay, I'm going to share this with you. So basically, I will ask them certain things like, what are your skill sets? What are your experiences? Here, please note, I don't I don't separate skills and experience. I don't say one is better than the other because to me, helping to solve problems, helping other people is not just about using skills. It's also about your own experiences. And it's a combination of those things that you use to help people. It's not just one or the other. It's a combination. Okay, so that's why I do this. So first example here, all right, from a client. The client says, I have extensive people management experience and a successful track record of building effective teams. Think about this. If you have that experience and that skill set, what problems do you solve? Can you type into the chat box? What problems do you solve if you are someone who has those set of experiences and skills? Can you type into the chat box? What do you think are some of the problems you solve? Anyone? Yeah, lack of motivation among team. Anything else? Any other? Okay, retention. So the problem is not the problem is people are leaving. Yeah. Any other problems you can solve? How to make the organization more effective? So the problem is that the organization is not being very efficient or very effective. That is a problem statement. So you got to be clear what is the problem statement. All right. So like Wei Jen, you mentioned how to make the organization more effective is your solution, not the problem. Okay. So here in this case, all right. So the problem you can solve could be high staff turnover issue. Staff turnover is a problem, right? Or not? So your skills and experience can solve that. Right? How you do it, I'm going to come to that later on. So here is to identify the problem first. I want you all to be very clear what the problem is. I don't want you to jump into solution, how you do it. Because if you can identify the problems you help to solve, then when you come across a company that has that problem, it's very easy for you already because you know, right? So you must be very clear about what problems you can solve, right? It is not about how you do it at this point, it is about what problems you solve. Okay, so let me emphasize that. So the next one, previous roles I leveraged on non-traditional marketing strategies and had greater return on investments and impactful results. So this was my skills, my experiences. What is the problem I can solve if I have those set of skills and experiences? What is the problem I solve? Anybody want to give it a try? Type it into the chat box. If I have those skill sets, what is the problem I solve? Give it a try. Right? This is where you can start trying, make mistakes, never mind. This is where we learn. If I had non-traditional marketing skills, right? Great impactful results. What problems can I solve? What problems can I solve? You know what? Not enough results from traditional marketing channels, could be. Yeah, right. Increase and improve sales. Yeah, maybe. Solve stagnant business growth. Yes, that is a problem, right? Solve stagnant business growth. So identify what is the problem. Okay. Increase and improve sales is a way to get around the problem, right? Or maybe you flip it around and say the very poor sales result. Okay. So here, if you look at it, I can help you expand your brand presence internationally with a lower marketing budget. That is a problem. So your problem is that you didn't have a way to expand overseas, or maybe you have very limited marketing budget. So I can help you do that. Okay. So last example, past roles, I moved the customer base to a higher level by recrafting outreach messages and targeting the right segments. All right. So I basically it's communication, right? It's marketing skills. So what problems can you solve here? What problems can you solve here? Those of you who are in marketing, probably you can relate to this. Okay, you move a customer base. We're talking about base, all right, and trying to reach that customer base in a more effective manner. What is the problem you solve? What is the problem you solve? Okay, maybe it's about increasing the quality of your customers. Okay, so that you can have more sustainable business coming from that group of companies, from that group of customers. Okay, so here it is about identifying what problems you can solve. All right, what problems you can solve. Right, how do we identify these statements? How do we make these statements? Again, let me show you this. Okay, so here again is another little exercise that you can do. Take a piece of paper, whether or maybe an Excel spreadsheet or whatever. Okay, draw up 3 columns. The first column, my skills. Second column, problems I solve. And then the last column, how I solve the problem. Okay, how I solve the problem. So example here, right? People and team management, mentioned that earlier on. That's my skill sets. I have very good people and team management skills. Okay. So problems I solve, I minimize or solve high staff turnover. Okay. So those were the 2 things that you saw in the earlier statement, right? The statement examples. How I solve the problem would be the continuation after you've the other party gets excited to tell them when you tell them you can solve that problem. How do you solve the problem? I build effective team environment focusing on individual strengths and get them motivated in the right direction. Okay, obviously you can reinforce this by giving examples in the past. Okay, but this is a first step in us getting you to write out what is your problem solving statement. What problems do you solve? Okay, I want to give you some time to try this out. Okay, write down at least one problem solving statement. Okay, give it a try. Fill up those columns, all right, using one of the skill sets, like for example, the people and team management skills can probably solve a lot of different problems. You're right, can solve a lot of different problems, right? Just pick one of the problems that you think you can solve using that particular skill and how you solve it. Just use one example, all right? Or maybe use the best example that you can think of. Okay? So why don't we do this? I'll give you 5 minutes. You try just crafting one of these problem-solving statements, and then we come back to the class again. All right? I see you guys in 5 minutes.
5 minutes later.
All right. Anybody got any problems or questions regarding this little exercise? I hope you all had a try. Okay. I think I saw some, if you want to share your problem solving statement by typing in the chat box, by all means do so. Okay. Previously, some people did so, and then, I helped them along the way. But if you want to do that, you can do that here. Okay. Anybody got any questions about this process? Any questions? All right. So this is a very important aspect of identifying your professional identity. Okay, it's very important because then it tells, if you can tell yourself how you help other people solve their problems and what problems you solve, then you know how to communicate this to other people already. Okay, it goes a long way. But the first step is you must know how you do it and what you do. Okay, all right. Looks like there's no questions here. All right, so let me move on to the next one. Okay, next thing now, crafting purpose statements. Right? Remember we talked about sense of purpose, right? Now, the reason why I left it all at towards the end of this morning's here is because we needed to know all the previous stuff. We needed to know all the previous stuff about, you know, what motivates you, what your skill sets are, what the type of skills you like to use, how you help people, what sort of problems you solve. All those bits that you have compiled just now, right, comes down to helping you craft these purpose statements. Okay, I already saw some in the chat box direct message to me that you already crafted some purpose statements. So let's see whether anything has changed after I show you this next portion itself. Okay, so purpose statements here essentially is talking about who we help and how we help. Who we help and how we help. Okay, essentially this is what it's all about. Okay, so this is my purpose statement. This is the my example. Okay, I want to support and help those feeling stuck in their jobs to find a career they love. I help them mainly through group workshops or in exclusive and personalized coaching sessions. This is my purpose statement. Okay, how do you craft such a purpose statement? Really, it is about using the information that you compiled in the earlier exercises and then putting it all together. Okay, now there's a simple way of doing this as well. Right, those of you who come to my workshops before, I like to keep it simple. KISS. I go around kissing people. No lah, keep it short and simple. All right, so KISS. Okay, so how do you craft a purpose statement using all the information that you just gathered about yourself just now? All right, so is this using this table again, take out a piece of paper, take out something to try this out. Three columns again. I'm a big fan of columns. You notice that. All right, so first column is basically what sort of verb you are using. Then the second column is who you're helping. The third column is how you're helping. Okay, so what are examples here? So the first one is what is the value that you provide. So in my case, for example, I help or support. Okay, that's the value I provide. Next one, who are the people, who are the customers that you are helping? For me, it's basically the people who are stuck in their jobs, right? Who want to find a career that they really want to go into. Okay, so these are the people that I help. Who are your so-called customers? Okay, then how do I do this? What are the key activities that I do to help these customers? I help them mainly through workshops or personalized coaching sessions. So you get this? Okay, so these three columns will help you craft your purpose statements. Okay, now I guess I'm probably now it's around 11:25. Right, I can sense some lunchtime anxieties already. you know your anxieties are coming through the internet to me. So I can sense that, huh? So I think I let you all do this during your lunchtime. If you want to, then we can come back and talk about it. So let me sort of just round this off by round off this particular segment itself. Okay, it is about crafting your professional identity. Okay, so again, what is your professional identity? essentially, if you follow my train of thought over this morning, it is about how you help other people. It is about knowing what benefit or value we will give to those people that we help. And then it's about how good we are in doing this. All right. And how we do this is really through a combination of our skills, our experiences, our motivation. Okay. That's the combination. Okay. So before I close off for lunch, give you all a chance to go for early lunch. All right. Anybody got any questions you want to ask for this particular portion of professional identity? If you got any question, by all means, you can unmute yourself or you can type it into the chat box. Anybody got any questions? Any other questions? Any other question? Don't be shy. I mean, this is how we interact with each other. Huh? These are the times where we ask questions. Okay. If not, I recognize that it is close to lunch. So why don't we do this? We break for lunch now. Okay, we break for lunch now, and then we come back. Now it is 11:30. Let's take maybe just slightly more than an hour. Okay, can we come back at 12:45? Is that okay? We come back at 12:45, then we cover the other two portions here. Is that all right? You don't have to log off. You can stay logged in. Okay, everything will be here. All right. During lunchtime, apart from having lunch, can I suggest you rethink about those exercises that we did? Right? If you feel that you want some more clarity or you're doing the exercise, you're not sure, by all means after lunch we can come talk about it. Okay? So I see you guys at 12:45. All right? Okay. See you soon.